And we are back right where we left off. We've created the site walk back here. I showed you how to export that to a PDF, and now we're going to go to the next step, which is converting this to a Condoit project. Now, usually it's a apprentice or a facility manager or a business development or salesperson that's out there creating the site walk, and the next step is back at the office. You'll have an electrician or an engineer hit this button and convert it to a Condoit project. And what that's going to do is it's going to start creating this single line diagram for us. So sorry, my controls are kind of weird here. So here we go. We've got our switchboard MS, our panel PP1 that we added in the site walk, as well as our utility connection. I'm going to tap on this and hit edit details. You can see that these are the photos that we added in the site walk. But now it's asking us some new stuff. It's stuff that's a little more electrical. So things like the phase wire distribution, where we said this is a 12208 system. So 12208. We also can add a meter to that can. I'm not going to do that right now. We'll leave the meter off. But we can also say that it's a main breaker panel, main lug. We'll say it's a main lug panel. We'll save this information. If we, for instance, went back into edit details and made it a main breaker panel, and we save this, it's going to add us a main breaker in here. And then we can change the trip rating on that breaker. We'll say that this is a 200 amp main breaker on here. So it's going to label that for us. And you'll also see that we've got this check mark right here. And that means that we've collected everything we need for this panel in order to do a single line diagram. Now the way that we're going to adjust that is we can go to this load analysis right here. These are under collection requirements. If I hit load analysis, you'll see that we now have a question mark there because we're missing information in order to do load analysis. Let's go back into this piece of equipment and you'll see that we're missing a measured load. So in this you can put in A, B, and C phase. Say for instance if you have a EMON, DEMON or something, and it'll start doing load calculations in kVA for you. So I'm going to hit save on there, and you'll see now we have everything we need for load analysis. But we're missing stuff on the switchboard. I'm going to go in here. I'm sure we need to set our phase wire in here as well. Say 3-phase, 4-wire, and then 12208. We'll say that there's just a little bit of load on this one as well. Say 40 amps, nice balanced load on that piece of equipment. And we've got all our pieces now, but they're all floating in space. They're not really connected. So if I tap on this, this brings up something called the context menu. From here, we can hit connect. You can also add breakers in here. You can add new equipment below, which I'll show you what that looks like in a second. You can duplicate this piece of equipment, add tie breakers and transformers inside of the switchboard. Photos and notes. So photos will take you to the photos that we were doing earlier. Notes, you can put in things like maintenance issues and code violations. And I'll show you what analyze load does in a second. But the first thing we're going to do is hit connect here. And it's going to say, well, how do you want to connect it? We're going to connect it with a main breaker upstream to this utility connection. Tap that, it's going to draw us a raceway. And then we'll also connect it downstream to this little panel that we just put in here, panel PP1. That's going to add a breaker and connect us to that main breaker going into panel PP1. But we're missing information. So these raceways know that they're there, but they don't know what's in them. So I'm going to tap on this raceway. It's going to say, well, what kind of raceway is it? So we got what type. We can put in a non-flexible conduit. We also have flexible conduit, things like flex. I even have Smurf tube in there. You can put in cable and bus duct as well. We're going to say it's non-flexible conduit. We're going to say it's PVC. We're going to say it's 4-inch PVC, 4 parallel runs, and say 50 feet long. And then down here we can say, okay, this is a copper wire, and we'll say that there are 4 500 MCM sizes in here. So we've got all the standard sizes in here. We're going to say that this is 500 MCM. If you've got like another ground that's a different type, you can add it right here, and it's just going to give you the same interface to add another conductor. But I'm going to hit save here. And now we've got 4 parallel runs of 4 500 MCM in 4-inch PVC that is 50 feet long. See that? It'll label that raceway for us. Now I'm going to tap on this main breaker here, and we're going to say it's 3-pole and say 1200 amp main breaker. So go in here, I got all the kind of standard sizes of breakers, and we're going to save that. And look at that, we're starting to pull together a single line diagram here. And then we're going to hit this breaker and say that it is a 200 amp breaker here, 3-pole. And then let's put in some wire here. We'll say that this is EMT. Say it's 2.5 inch EMT. We'll say it's 55 feet long. We got 5 conductors now that are copper, and they are, say, 4-aught wire. Save that. So we got 5 4-aughts and 2.5 inch EMT. And we've got all of our pieces of equipment here. Now, pretty quickly you can start building this out. I'm going to, if we want to, we can duplicate this piece of equipment, and we can duplicate it again. And you can see that pretty quickly we start building out a pretty good size electrical system here. So if you know electrical and you understand conduit, which you will after watching this video, you can see that pretty quickly you can start pulling together a single line diagram. So that is all of what we call collection. So we've been doing, under editing mode here, we've been doing collection. The next video, I'm going to take you to design, and we're going to do some exports, but we're going to stop there for the time being.